Hey everyone! For sound, I just have my headphones plugged into the back of the Mopho keyboard. And that's it. I have the Midi out from the Argon8 into the back of the Mopho. And these two synths are kind of the same. I mean, they're not at all the same, but they kind of are the same. You got two oscillators and three envelopes. One for filter, one for amp, and one for, well, could be anything, I guess, that third envelope. And you've got a mix control, which blends in the middle between the two oscillators, or you could go the bias all the way to the right will be just oscillator 2, and then all the way to the left will be just oscillator 1. And it fades out the opposite oscillator. And yeah, they've got separate glide controls. Well, not on this synth, but they're so similar that when I talk about one, that also applies to the other. For instance, oh, what happened? So, yeah, if we want to mess with the tuning of oscillator 1, holding down the note so that it makes a sound, but also twisting the tune 1 oscillator, and on the screen, sometimes the Mopho displays incoming messages received, sometimes it doesn't. It's a bit finicky. I'm not sure exactly what mode it has to be in to reflect these changes. I think it's when you have local control on that you can see this making changes, which is really helpful. So let's say that's like a 2 octaves and a minor third up. So on the mix control, oscillator 1, both oscillators, and then it fades out that high-pitched one, and it's just that low one on oscillator 2. The Argon8, you can see it on the screen, same effect. Now we have the fine-tune controls on these same knobs, but you have to press Shift, which is this button here with the ring around it. Things turn blue. And you have 50 positive, 50 negative. Oscillator 1, oscillator 2. And then, yeah, one other thing is that this screen will show you what the envelope's shape is. So if you want to fade in the filter, we'll turn up the amount. Maybe close the filter a bit. Turn up some resonance. Speaking of the filter, this is the big cutoff knob in the center. And remember, these headphones are only plugged into the back of the Mopho. We're not hearing any sounds from the Argon8. Turn down the resonance. Maybe we can go to the amp EG, and then it'll show us a new screen. And, whoops, we've just lost sound. Oh no, it's, well, maybe if we turned up the VCA somehow. But where? Where's the VCA? Oh my goodness. I think it... Oh, ooh, there's life. Okay, so when I pressed this button, I think it sent something that turned the depth all the way down. So we want this to affect. Ah, I turned the attack all the way down, and the note fades in. But that's also playing with the... Turn down the resonance again. Open the filter all the way up. Turn down the attack. Ooh, that is big, bassy, and brassy. You got octave buttons. Up and down. So yeah, all you need to do is feed the stereo output of the Mopho into the 1/8 inch stereo input, and then you can make use of the effects, which on the Argon8 I don't find particularly easy to use. But ever since the update, it has been better, much better. Update 2.0 or something like that. So yeah, I can do pretty much everything except change the shape. And then this is the pulse width knob that once you're in square wave. One other thing I can't do is control the LFO. The LFO does not respond to the MIDI CC messages that are being sent out from all these knobs. Well, rotary controls because they spin endlessly, which makes it a bit difficult to really fine-tune the parameters on the Mopho with the controls of the Argon8, because you need a certain... It's like if you twist it really slowly, it doesn't send out any information. If you twist it fast, then it sends out too much. So you gotta kind of... something to get used to there. If you're ever in the situation where I am, where I want to turn the local control off, so that the keyboard doesn't trigger its own internal notes on this synthesizer. The trouble is, it also disables this panel. So these controls, while they do still remain, maintain sending out MIDI information, it no longer is coupled with its internal sound engine, which is a bit of a bummer because not all synths work that way when local is turned off, but this one, it does. A good thing, though, is that most of these are mapped to MIDI CC messages, same as the Argon8. So all you need to do is send the MIDI out into a MIDI event processor from MIDI Solutions, swap around all the MIDI CC so that they match, because the cutoff here is not the same cutoff number on here. So if this is 14 and this is 22, you just have to send to the 14, change it into 22 through that little box, and then it works. The trouble is that the Argon8 does not always reliably power on the MIDI Solutions box, which is in previous videos, I guess. I could show that to you. The MIDI out of the Argon8 has to go into into the Roland, this one, and then the MIDI out is sent, then it's into this MIDI solutions box. The red light turns on, and then all the MIDI CCs are switched around there, and then it finally gets to the Mopho, so that all the knobs and switches match each other. One major problem is that I have no control over the LFO. The LFO is something that does not respond to MIDI CC messages, but rather the NRPN messages. However, NRPN messages are not so easy, because you've got the MSB and the LSB. And this makes totally no sense to me, or to you, probably, if you don't know how to do it. But when switching the frequency of the LFO, this number that's changing here is being sent on the LSB. Every single other MIDI everything sends that number on the MSB portion of it, which means that even if you try to MIDI solutions your way into controlling the LFO on this thing, and if there's a few other parameters that only respond this way, it will jump up to the highest value and then jump back down to 0 no matter what you do. This is an issue that's well documented and discussed in many topics on the gear forum board, and also on the sequential forum board. So the only controller that I know of that can actually make use of the frequency, see, if I turn it down up to 128, you see that? 127, say. And then I take the second slider here, can't see it, and bring it all the way down. What this is doing is that it's sending a free message. And that's sending, oops, we can see back here, it's all the way down to 0.